And what I'd recommend with the actual staff training is, okay, let's have a look. So staff training. Now, of course, hiring staff, what would be some, obviously you need to be hiring staff and then training them. I think a good, depending on your business, what you actually want to hire, the specific position you're hiring, what I would definitely recommend that has worked quite well for me is asking people reasonably open-ended questions, trying to get them to open up in the interview, break the ice, try and have a laugh early on. I've gotten people to do personality tests, got them to do the Hexaco is a good one. Basically, this weeds out people. And it's interesting. Basically, there's some people, and you'd know this, some people are really honest. They're good people. Like, you can trust them. They're very trustworthy people. That if you said, look after this, I'm going to be out, you'll trust them. They're honest. They have humility. They're not going to take advantage of you. This is what this test basically measures. And if you have people who are low on humility, who would take advantage of you, they're not going to be good for, generally they're just not going to be good to have as staff. I wouldn't risk it. I've had people that have worked for me that have had kind of like the lower humility, and they were just harder to deal with. They're more, you'd know it, they're just harder to deal with people. And that if anything goes wrong, like I've had things that have gone well and things that have gone wrong, and I've noticed that whenever things have gone wrong, the people with high level of humility in that, they can handle that. But people who don't, they try and take advantage, they try pointing the finger, all of this kind of stuff. So that's one tip with hiring staff. And the other thing is, if someone can't be bothered to spend 10 minutes doing a simple test, maybe they're not going to be the best staff anyway. So that's a great pre-screening. I definitely recommend that. That's a couple of tips with hiring. I mean, the other thing is make sure you like the person. I think that's important. If you're going to be working with them every day, make sure you can actually get along. You kind of like them. There's nothing worse than trying to work with someone who you're just butting heads with constantly, and that has nothing, that's hard to deal with. Like, as long as they're neutral or positive is good. If they're negative and you don't like being around them, don't hire someone like that. If you get bad vibes from someone in the interview or something, it's best don't hire them. It's just not worth it, because if you have those thoughts before you're hiring someone, they're going to come up again. You may also treat the person badly just because of your negative connotation towards them, even though they may be a great person. So it's just, I think it's best for all parties. If, just hire people who you think would be all right, who you feel good about, who are honest people you can trust. Maybe you can set up some tests, in the interview, see if, make a mess on the floor, see if people pick up the paper. Someone I knew years ago, he's dead now. He used to own this hotel that I worked at over a decade ago. And his trick with interviews was he looked how fast the person walked. He said if the person walked sluggish and slow, he'd never hire them. And if they had a bit of spring in their step and they looked like they're energized and ready to go, he'd potentially hire them then. So there's all these different tricks that lots of different business people have their own things, but these are just a few tips. So in training, I definitely recommend whichever position you have a specific training around that position. So you have a customer service person, have some training around that position that involves, maybe, I think the best way to do this, by the way, is record yourself similar to what I'm doing now. You can record yourself on the computer. You can make a PowerPoint presentation. You can draw things on the screen like I'm trying to do here. You can do a whiteboard presentation, something, but the idea is that if you do the presentation and you record it, you can show it again and again and again, and then you don't have to keep teaching the same thing. and it's going to save a huge amount of time, especially if you're hiring staff. You want to be, especially when you're growing, you want to be working on the other parts of the business, and you want to be able to minimize the amount of time you have to spend on all of this necessary. It's important to train staff, but you want to be spending your time in other areas. You want to be able to maximize how technology can help train your staff. So take videos and you can upload them online. There's ways you can do it so that your staff have to log in with a password and that the public can't see it, and all of this. You can do security measures. I'll show you in another video how easy this is actually to do. So basically, videos online. You can actually create, you can almost create your own courses, like might have your customer service course. Maybe it's just 3 videos and a question and answer, but you can do this really, really easily. And you can get someone to go through it, and that's going to be something that everyone has to do. So everyone in the customer service position has to go through this. At least they know the fundamentals, and if they have to do a test at the end, then at least they have to pass, right? And maybe part of your staff training is that in a month's time they have to go through a different course. Maybe in month 6 they have to go through a refresher, something like this. The key really is to have some sort of system in place, because otherwise, and don't make this mistake, if you don't have any system in place and you're trying to grow and you're trying to wing it, it's not going to work. It's going to cause you more problems, because then you're just going to you're going to be spending so much time training people. Your attention is going to be pulled and scattered in multiple directions, and you're going to have staff that don't know what to do, so they're going to be constantly asking you or someone else questions because the training isn't in place. If you go to any large company, they probably have, especially a really successful company, they have good staff training. So this is really important. Have some systems in place, and even if it's hard to actually think, when am I going to have the time to do these videos? Just do something every day. Set aside half an hour every day for staff training and get some stuff happening. Even if it takes a few months to get all this happening, a little bit each day will go a huge way. Don't just try and do it all at once. If that works for you, do that by all means, but try and get it done step by step. Work on one area, then work on the next area, because as the owner, you have a lot of stuff on. So I can appreciate that, setting aside time for something like this, rather than maybe dealing with a customer. You might see this as, is this a waste of time? But no, definitely not. If you're going to be growing, it's not going to be all you, it's going to be your staff. Your staff are really going to be, they need to be trained well. Your staff are a reflection of you. Your company is a reflection of you, and you need to lead from the top. Have the systems in place, do the training, show that you're the boss, show that you know what you're talking about, show that you can train people, and you're going to get a lot more respect from your workers. If they have to go through a great training and they see that, wow, this, my boss really cares and he's putting in effort, they're going to do a better job in the workplace. They're going to treat your customers better. It's going to be much better all around for your business, and it's going to allow you to scale. Because then you can hire more staff, you can put them through the training course, and you'll know. After they go through the course, you'll know. If you hire a bunch of people, you'll know how they're performing after 1 week. After they go through your training, if 10 people go through the same training, and you see a pattern, and that after 1 week, if people are like this, they're good. They can do the job. And if they're not getting it, move them on. It's not going to be doing them any good by staying in a position that they're no good in. And it's not going to be doing you any good, because you're going to be thinking about it constantly that you need to get rid of them. So just do it. If they're not, if they're not providing you value, if they're not the right fit, just tell them nicely, no, it's just not going to be the right fit. It's better if you go somewhere else. It's better for both of us. So that's very important. So we've got staff training. I recommend some, with hiring, this can go in both ways. I thought I'd add in the hiring part as well. But really training, create some videos. You could have customer service, sales. You could have sales training. You could have different follow-up. You could show them, you record yourself doing some sales calls. Watch what they can do. Record a bunch of your own sales calls, and that can be some of the training. This is fantastic stuff. It's not going to take you any more time. You can record staff meetings. Or better yet, if you already have a bunch of staff, you can record, say you have a whiteboard, maybe you record something, you record a training session, and you have your staff ask questions in the recording, and then you upload that video online, and then when you hire other staff, they watch that video, and then they're getting the interaction from both sides. You teaching, they're seeing in the video that other people are talking as well. There's all of these ways that it can make it work for you. So it's not necessarily going to take a lot longer time to actually implement this. It's just a matter of being a little bit creative. Maybe record staff meetings. If you're driving in the car, you're at lunch, just record a quick video, maybe with an inspirational message for your team, and put that in the staff training, something, There's always things to do. So let's just recap all of this good stuff. So roadmap to growing your construction or contractor business. Have a way to get more customers. You're having an ad that's teaching some educational material, bringing in people. You know how much you can spend in advertising. You know what numbers you need to be aiming for. You have a scalable sales process. You know that you need to call someone up. You know that the next day you need to do this. A month later, do this. If they say they're not ready yet, you do this. If you send a quote, this happens. All of that. You then systematize and automate as much as possible so that new people coming in, it's click. You don't waste 10 minutes doing something that can be done in 30 seconds. That's basically the systematizing. You're taking tasks that cumulatively add up to a whole day, and you're condensing it to 1 hour. You start doing that, you'll be able to scale. And then really the cream, the cream of the crop, the cherry on the top, that's what I mean, is the staff training. Then you have the whole system in place. And once you have all of these things, you're managing all the finance as well, you have customers coming in, you're working out all this stuff, and you have a system in place, you're going to be, way less stressed. You'll have space, you'll be able to relax, you'll know that things are actually set up in a way that is really, really professional. Like, if you have all of this set up, your business will be, in a small percentage of very successful businesses. Most businesses, this is just the truth, do not have any of this. They have very, very rough way to get new customers. Often there's no real system in place. It might just be, you get referrals, things like that, but there's nothing that adds predictability to it. Often there's no math being done. It's just kind of like, if there's enough money in the bank at this time, it's good. There's no planning. There's often no sales process. There's completely different delays. One person makes an inquiry, they get called up immediately. Their friend makes an inquiry, and they get called up next week. So there's no predictability, there's no consistency. This is how most businesses, this is the reality. You can test this yourself. Call up a business, if they don't answer, see if you get a return call fast. Stuff like that. So, look, I hope this has all helped. And in some future videos, I will make actually more details. So actually going and doing a demo. What does it look like actually creating the ads? What does the math look like in a bit more detail? How does a scalable sales process actually look being implemented? I'll do some examples there. I'll show you how to systematize this whole thing using tools that are available right now, many of which are actually free. They're online, many are free, and this can help you systematize and do all this. We're really, 2020, this is a great time. There's so much technology and things available to businesses that, think of it this way. Wherever your business is, even if you were just starting up, you have access to the same level of technology and infrastructure that companies 10 years ago would have had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to achieve. So it's a really, really good time, and the businesses that implement this will be doing very, very well in 2030, and the businesses that don't implement this may be out of business, or, which I think is even worse, if you're at exactly the same level that you're at in 10 years, it hasn't been a good decade. You want to be increasing every decade, getting better. You're going to you're 10 years older in 10 years. Maybe you want to pass this down to your children. Maybe you want to sell this. If you get your business doing enough turnover, you could sell this and retire.